It was 1 year ago that India rolled out one of the biggest vaccination drives in the world. It continues to be the second in the list of the most vaccinations worldwide, and the drive is a reflection of the relentless effort by the healthcare workers of our country. Here is a recap of India's vaccination drive 1 year on.
From the first jab given to a sanitation worker to achieving over 92% first dose coverage and over 69% second dose coverage, India has come a long way in the last 1 year since the vaccination drive against COVID-19 began. On the 16th of January 2021, amidst much fanfare, India started administering vaccines against COVID-19. The move captured well by shutterbugs and replete with messaging that the vaccine is safe. The journey of the first dose to the over 156 crore doses in the last 1 year has seen several hits and misses. 1 year on, vaccine hesitancy has been replaced with a plateau in the demand for vaccines, while midway India dealt with vaccine eagerness.
सरकार बोल रही है वैक्सीन लगाइए।
जब मर जाते हैं तो आते हैं देखने के लिए, जब हॉस्पिटल पहुंचते हैं हम बेहोश हो जाते हैं तो आते हैं देखने के लिए।
A lot changed with the Prime Minister taking a shot of the vaccine, India's indigenous vaccine Covaxin, that was labelled by the opposition as the BJP's vaccine.
The scale and the pace at which the vaccination drive was rolled out, and the staggering with the healthcare workers and the senior citizens getting the first priority was excellent. The CoWIN app has been functioning great, and it's really done wonders to coordinate and give real-time, very live and transparent data for the vaccination. The absolute number of doses has been stunning. I did not expect it to happen to this level, and the pro-vaccination messaging has been great.
Covaxin, the vaccine in the eye of the storm, received emergency use listing by the WHO in November last year, making it the 7th vaccine in the world to get the nod from the World Health Body. In total, the WHO has approved only 9 vaccines for use against COVID.
It does affect, it does hurt, because we are not political people. We are only, our party is science. We breathe science. We want to do science. Nothing else we know it. But somebody says somebody doesn't like somebody and relate that one to us, that hurts. And I think science has to be neutral. We are not belong to political party or journalism or anything. We are neutral. So we want to do the best science. I think it does hurt. But for us, we have to look at the long run, what has to achieve for the country.
India's vaccination drive has been carried out in phases. 16th of January saw the vaccination drive for frontline workers and healthcare workers. The 1st of March onwards last year saw the elderly, those above the age of 60 take the dose, and those between the age of 45 to 60 get the dose. The 1st of May onwards saw India's adult population above the age of 18 start getting the dose against COVID-19. Vaccines for the adolescent population started on the 3rd of January early this year, and the additional dose for the vulnerable population started on the 10th of January this year itself. Experts say this has been timely.
The Omicron has been an eye-opener. We now realize that children are vulnerable, and countries like Cuba and China have gone ahead and vaccinated their 2- and 3-year-olds as well. So there is still a lot to catch on. The better part is that people who have been vaccinated have had milder disease and have had less morbidity and mortality compared to people who have been unvaccinated.
The last 1 year has seen several approvals for emergency use to vaccines. There are 8 vaccines that have received emergency use authorization in India. Serum Institute's Covishield, the most widely used vaccine in India, got an approval on the 3rd of January last year. Covaxin, developed by Bharat Biotech, got an approval the same day. Russia's Sputnik V, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson single-dose vaccine, Zydus Cadila Zykov D, Covovax by the Serum Institute, and Corbevax, developed by Biologically, have an approval by the regulator. But only 2 vaccines continue to be the backbone of India's vaccination drive. The third, Sputnik V, has failed to take off in India, and Covaxin, an inactivated vaccine, has some manufacturing challenges in terms of the facilities also that are to be made available. It requires the BSL-3 facility, some of which have been improved essentially with the help of the government. Well, Covaxin is also the only vaccine that is being given to children in India. Zydus Cadila Zycov-D hasn't been rolled out. Pfizer and Moderna, in spite of the permissions granted, have not been able to enter the Indian market because of an agreement not being reached. Another hitch has been the delay in ordering vaccines. Last year, that was a great mistake, say experts.
We should have booked our vaccines in June, July 2020, when the initial vaccine candidates were ready and field trials were beginning. This would have helped us gain a lot of months of early starting of the vaccination. Second, we could have allowed the mRNA vaccine manufacturers from other countries like Pfizer and Moderna to sell their vaccines in open market after proper scrutiny, so that the people who could afford in the big cities could have taken this vaccine.
India's vaccine drive has also faced the ire of those who claim that Vaccine Maitri was an image-building exercise of the country and of the Prime Minister. Vaccine Maitri, early last year, before the second wave, saw the Government of India roll out doses of India's vaccines to low and middle-income countries just before the second wave of the pandemic hit us. Many don't agree.
India done good thing at a time when we were needing vaccine for our own people, but we have taken that larger stand. And it is a saying in Hindi, "Ghayal ki gati ghayal jane aur na jane ko hai." And that's what India could understand the aspirations and needs of poorer countries.
Experts say, in spite of the misses, India has a success story in the world's largest vaccine drive, given a push by the Har Ghar Dastak campaign.
I am very delighted to see that a country like ours with limited resources have been able to do such large vaccination program with more than 150 crore vaccinations given in such a short time. This is very creditable to the government, the Prime Minister, the scientists, the health workers, and everybody who toiled a great deal to achieve this great feat. We also provided free of cost vaccines to everybody, which is also a very good thing, so that without any difficulty everybody can take vaccine.
To the Government of India and to the commitment of the healthcare workers, the providers and the people of India, that they have got these vaccinations, they have got themselves vaccinated, and that is why we can see that despite being in a severe another wave of COVID-19, we have practically minuscule fatalities, very less hospitalizations. The only reason being that the people are vaccinated, they have an immunity against this COVID-19, and that is why this is not hurting us so much, and it is being just mild to a bit moderate of disease and going away.
This is just the beginning. India's mission vaccination has now got a boost with the government rolling out the precaution dose. After all, vaccines are important weapons against the virus. In New Delhi, Sneha Mordani for India Today.
With pregnant women testing positive for COVID in this particular wave, the biggest question on their minds is, will my baby be safe? What will happen to my baby in Omicron wave compared to what really happened in Delta wave? Do I have anything to be worried about in particular? Gynecologists explain the risks and lifestyle changes that pregnant women can incorporate in case they test positive in this way. Take a look at my report. The Delta wave saw pregnant women severely impacted. Cases of complications and stillborns were reported. The Omicron variant is far more transmissible than Delta, for now shows lower risks in pregnant women. There are some, though, who are more likely to be impacted when pregnant and test positive for COVID in this wave.
Pregnant women who are at more risk of getting a severe COVID would be an elderly woman, a woman who has planned pregnancy at later age, an obese lady, a patient with pre-existing medical disorders like diabetes, hypertension, cardiac disorders, asthma, or any other renal disorders.
Outside of these factors, the risks are minimal if you test positive while carrying a baby in your womb.
There is a mild increased risk of premature delivery, cesarean section, but there's no increased risk of abortion, stillbirth, postpartum hemorrhage, or newborn having difficulty in breathing at birth.
If you are pregnant, docs advise on several lifestyle changes in this third wave.
Please take care of your overall well-being. Please take out time for your exercising. Please do a lot of exercises, especially focusing a lot on your breathing exercises, your lung exercises, your chest expansion, because that's going to help you to prepare your lungs to fight COVID. Also, other form of exercises like some prenatal yoga will help you to boost your overall immunity. Number 2 is good nutrition, because again your nutrition will really help you to boost your immunity and to help you protect yourself against different sort of infections. Number 3 is keeping our stress levels as low as possible, because stress also tends to affect our immunity, so it's important that we don't let it affect our mental health. Some sort of meditation, some sort of breathing relaxation techniques, and some sort of recreational activity will also help you to control your stress levels in pregnancy.
Omicron, we know, is not the last strain. IHU is a new strain which has come in France. So basically we have to have a good lifestyle changes, which includes avoid going unnecessarily to crowded places, maintain a social distance, no handshaking, no touching faces, frequent changes of your mask, and wear a right mask in a right way and dispose it in a right way. Do not touch the center of the mask, remove it from your string. Eat healthy, drink well, exercise, and stay in a well-ventilated room.
Doctors say the transmission of COVID from mother to newborn is possible.
Transmission of COVID-19 from mother to the baby. It can occur either in pregnancy or during labor or during breastfeeding. Lot of literature has been reviewed, and it is suggested that there is no recorded case of vaginal secretion or breast milk tested positive for COVID-19, and majority of newborns with possible intrauterine transmission of COVID-19 exhibit mild symptoms.
There are several precautions that can be taken in case of this scenario. Keeping baby in a separate room and only contacting baby while breastfeeding is recommended by doctors.
If you're a new mom, precautions to follow up is keep your baby in a separate room if possible. But if it's not possible, you can curtain up your room, mask up, use hand hygiene, and only contact your baby while breastfeeding.
If you have a small baby, please ensure that you're able to continue breastfeeding your baby, because breast milk is complete nutrition. It will also help your baby to get good immunity from you, to get the antibodies from you, so it will also help your baby get a good dose of immunity from the mother. So please continue breastfeeding your babies, don't stop. Please try to maintain some basic protocols at home, and don't let anybody touch your baby without washing their hands or without using a sanitizer.
While cases continue to increase across the world, researchers globally are continuously studying the severity and rate of transmission of the new variant of coronavirus. One cannot deny that comorbids and pregnant women remain vulnerable to different COVID strains. Hence, if you are pregnant, do not panic, but be extra careful and contact your doctor immediately. In New Delhi, Chaiti Narula for India Today.